Welcome back to our channel. Today we're delving into the world of law and justice as we explore the 8 most infamous court cases in history. These landmark trials not only gripped the public's attention, but also left an indelible mark on society and the legal system. From shocking verdicts and dramatic courtroom showdowns to the profound impact these cases had on law and justice, get ready for a captivating journey through some of history's most memorable legal battles. Let's dive in. 1. O.J. Simpson, 1995. Dubbed the trial of the century, Simpson was charged with 2 counts of murder for the 1994 homicide of his ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, and her friend Ron Goldman. The prosecution, led by Marcia Clark and Christopher Darden, presented a strong case that included DNA evidence linking Simpson to the crime scene. However, Simpson's defense team, known as the Dream Team, and led by Johnny Cochran and Robert Shapiro, argued that the evidence was contaminated and the investigation was marred by racial bias and police misconduct. Cochran famously declared, "If it doesn't fit, you must acquit," referring to a key moment when Simpson struggled to put on a pair of gloves allegedly worn during the murders. On October 3, 1995, the jury delivered a not guilty verdict. Despite his acquittal, Simpson's legal troubles continued, and in 1997, he was found liable for the wrongful deaths of Brown and Goldman in a civil trial, resulting in a $33.5 million judgment against him. 2. Roe v. Wade, 1973. Texas citizen Norma McCorvey became pregnant and wanted to have the pregnancy willfully terminated. Texas state laws and those of most other states prevented women from having abortions. Under the pseudonym of Jane Roe, McCorvey sued the state of Texas on claims that it violated her right to privacy by outlawing the abortion. In her eyes, the law was forcing decisions upon her with regard to what to do with her own body. The state, in response, argued that the act of abortion was considered murder, and there was an interest in the state to protect the life of an unborn child. In one of the biggest decisions made by the Supreme Court in the 20th century, the court ruled that laws prohibiting abortion were a violation of a woman's right to privacy. This groundbreaking decision made it legal to receive abortions in all 50 states, and is still being debated today. 3. Brown v. Board of Education, 1954. As one of the most famous cases in American history, that of Brown versus Board of Education was actually 5 separate cases heard by the Supreme Court regarding segregation in public schools. It began in a Topeka, Kansas school district where a student had to walk miles to attend a black school while a white school was close by. Her father, Oliver Brown, called on the NAACP to help his daughter get the best education she could. NAACP head Thurgood Marshall challenged the segregation laws on the grounds that they violated the 14th Amendment to the Constitution. This amendment stated that all citizens had the right to receive equal protection under the law. In response, the state claimed Plessy v. Ferguson set the precedent and the laws were to stand. The Supreme Court ruled in defense of the Brown family and overturned the precedent set in the Plessy case. This decision helped spark the development of the civil rights movement. 4. Scopes Monkey Trial, 1925. John T. Scopes, a high school teacher in Dayton, Tennessee, was charged with violating the Butler Act, which prohibited the teaching of evolution in state-funded schools. The trial became a focal point for a national debate between the proponents of evolutionary science and those who supported the literal interpretation of the Bible. Prominent attorneys were involved in the case, with William Jennings Bryan, a 3-time presidential candidate and staunch creationist, serving as the prosecutor. Clarence Darrow, a famous defense attorney and agnostic, represented Scopes. During the trial, Darrow famously called Bryan to the stand as an expert on the Bible, leading to a dramatic and heated exchange about religious interpretation and scientific understanding. Despite Darrow's vigorous defense, Scopes was found guilty and fined $100, a verdict that was later overturned on a technicality. 5. Nuremberg Trials, 1945 to 1946. These trials saw the prosecution of prominent leaders of Nazi Germany for war crimes, crimes against humanity, and genocide after World War II. Conducted in Nuremberg, Germany, these trials were the first of their kind, setting precedents for how the international community addresses such atrocities. The main trial involved 24 high-ranking officials, including Hermann Göring, Rudolf Hess, and Joachim von Ribbentrop. The prosecution was led by Justice Robert H. Jackson of the United States, alongside representatives from the Soviet Union, United Kingdom, and France. Evidence presented included shocking documentation and eyewitness testimonies of the Holocaust and other war crimes. Of the 24 defendants, 12 were sentenced to death, 3 to life imprisonment, and others to varying prison terms, while 3 were acquitted. The Nuremberg Trials were significant in establishing the principle that individuals, not just states, could be held accountable for violations of international law. They also brought to light the full extent of the Nazi atrocities. 6. Trial of Joan of Arc, 1431. Joan, a young peasant girl who claimed to have received divine guidance, played a crucial role in lifting the siege of Orleans and turning the tide in favor of the French. Captured by the Burgundians, allies of the English, Joan was handed over to the English and put on trial for charges including heresy, witchcraft, and cross-dressing. The trial was led by Bishop Pierre Cauchon, who sought to discredit her and undermine the legitimacy of Charles VII, the French king she supported. Despite her lack of formal education, Joan defended herself with remarkable poise and intelligence. Nevertheless, the biased tribunal declared her guilty, and on May 30, 1431, Joan was burned at the stake in Rouen at the age of 19. Her execution was intended to demoralize the French and solidify English control, but it had the opposite effect, galvanizing French resistance. In 1456, a posthumous retrial ordered by Charles VII cleared her of all charges, declaring her a martyr and a symbol of French unity and nationalism. Joan of Arc was canonized as a saint by the Roman Catholic Church in 1920. 7. The Salem Witch Trials, 1692 to 1693. The trials began in the Puritan settlement of Salem Village in Massachusetts after a group of young girls claimed to be possessed by the devil and accused several local women of witchcraft. These accusations were fueled by a combination of superstition, religious fervor, and personal vendettas. The ensuing panic led to the formation of special courts to try the accused, where spectral evidence, testimony that the spirit or specter of the accused was seen committing witchcraft, was accepted as valid. Notably, the proceedings were marked by a lack of proper legal representation and an overwhelming presumption of guilt. As a result, 20 people were executed, 14 of them women, and many others were imprisoned under appalling conditions. Governor William Phips eventually intervened, disbanding the special courts and prohibiting the use of spectral evidence. In 1693, the remaining accused were released, and the trials were brought to an end. The Massachusetts General Court later declared a day of fasting and soul-searching for the tragedy, and deemed the trials unlawful. In the centuries since, the Salem Witch Trials have been examined as a cautionary tale about the dangers of isolationism, scapegoating, and the breakdown of due process. 8. Plessy v. Ferguson, 1896. In 1892, Louisiana passed the Separate Care Act, which legalized the segregation of common carriers. A black civil rights organization decided to respond by challenging the laws in court. Homer Plessy attempted to protest the segregation laws on his own. To do so, he sat in the whites-only section of an East Louisiana Railroad train. Plessy was pale enough in appearance that he could pass for white, but he deliberately identified himself as a black man. He was arrested and jailed for violating the segregation law. His defense lawyers argued on claims that the Separate Car Act violated the 13th and 14th Amendments of the Constitution. In 1896, the Supreme Court ruled the Louisiana segregation laws unconstitutional. This case set the precedent for separate but equal facilities for blacks and whites. This concept went on to be applied to many areas of public life. Thanks for joining us on this journey through the 8 most infamous court cases in history. We hope you found these stories as fascinating and thought-provoking as we did. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into historical events and legal dramas. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment below on which court case you found the most intriguing, or suggest other historical topics you'd like us to cover. Your feedback helps us bring you the content you love. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the past to better understand our present. Thanks for watching.